Nikola Jokic is arguably the best center in the NBA right now. Selected 41st overall by the Denver Nuggets in the 2014 draft, one of the most unlikely stars in the league, the franchise is absolutely lucky to have selected him after picking Rudy Gobert the season before, traded him to Utah, and also drafted Donovan Mitchell in 2017, but stupidly traded that pick for Trey Lyles and Tyler Lydon. How's it going, guys? My name's Wilson. The Serbian native is not only one of the best international players today, but in the discussion as a top 10 player in the league at 25 years old, no one would have thought he'd become this good of an NBA player. Looking at past photos of him as a teenager, looking back in the 2014 class, the Joker would have easily been picked first or second, knowing what we know now, but it was actually Andrew Wiggins and Jabari Parker. Neither one of them were bust by any means. Wiggins a good player who's been disappointing, while Parker has been hampered by injuries. At least he had a season putting up 20 points a game, but a couple lottery picks that year have been huge busts, and some already out the NBA. Let's take a look at 7 NBA busts in the 2014 draft, picked at least 20 spots ahead of Nikola Jokic. Dante Exum. It's safe to say we can officially declare him as a bust. Selected 5th overall, right ahead of Julius Randle and Marcus Smart, viewed as one of the biggest mysteries coming into the draft from Melbourne, Australia, viewed as a versatile athlete, drawing many comparisons to the likes of Penny Hardaway and Leandro Barbosa. Exum had great speed, finishes through contact, capable of making acrobatic shots and creating for teammates. The biggest knock was the level of competition he's faced, combined with his lack of outside shooting. Since there were no intriguing point guards in the NCAA coming into the draft that year, Exum was just 18 years old, healthy for all his rookie season, started half his games, averaged under 5 points a game, 2.5 assists on just 35% shooting, a nightmare rookie season amongst the 295 rookies who's played in the 3-point era and logged as many minutes. Exum was dead last in player efficiency rating, with very poor numbers in a lot of important categories. It didn't help that Exum didn't have any professional playing experience before coming into the league. Taking an unprecedented leap from an Australian high school to the NBA, his 6'9.5" wingspan was intriguing, but had trouble against the older and stronger guys. Unfortunately, things got worse as he torn his ACL on his left knee while playing for Australia in August 2015, a couple months before the start of his second season. Underwent surgery, missed the entire 2015-16 campaign, where the Jazz were eliminated from playoff contention the last day of the regular season. The injuries continued to pile up. After coming back, played 66 games and wasn't effective at all, averaged just 6 points, was hurt again, forced to have shoulder surgery before the 2017-18 season, made his first appearance in March, showed some promising signs, averaged over 8 points a game, shot over 48% from the field, solid improvements, and didn't back down from guarding some of the best guys on the other team. The Jazz gave him a 3-year contract worth $33 million, a risky deal where he still wasn't proven. The team had a way better guard in Donovan Mitchell running the show. Exum just couldn't catch a break, had an ankle injury, upon returning had a knee injury, missed the remainder of the season in 2019, pretty much missing half his games. The Jazz finally decided to trade him alongside 2 second-rounders for Jordan Clarkson, a guy who was picked 41 spots after him. Hasn't been good on a struggling Cavs team. Despite still being 24 years old, it doesn't seem like he'll ever be a solid NBA player. Nick Stauskas, selected 8th overall out of the University of Michigan as a pure shooter with a perfect stroke. It's insane that Stauskas was a lottery pick, and Duncan Robinson, a couple years later, went to the same college and wasn't even drafted at 6'6" as the #1 option in the NCAA. He doesn't get talked about like the Adam Morrisons of the world. The dysfunctional Kings franchise drafted him, where the owner assembled a group of NBA analytics specialists to assess which player the team should take, quickly backfired. An absolute travesty of a decision. Owners filled with huge egos and not basketball experts should just let the GMs do their job and step out of making poor basketball decisions. No wonder why franchises like the Kings, Timberwolves, and Knicks continue to be bad. Stauskas barely made an impact as a rookie, averaged 4.4 points on under 37% shooting. It was so bad, Sacramento traded him to Philly after his rookie season. Apparently, former teammate DeMarcus Cousins almost ruined Stauskas, berailed him, and threatened to fight him on the plane going to China for a preseason game, according to Zach Lowe. The next 2 seasons in Philly, Stauskas continued to struggle, averaged just 8.7 points on 39% shooting in 2.5 seasons there, just couldn't buy a basket at times. Traded to Brooklyn alongside Jahlil Okafor and a second rounder for Trevor Booker. Brian Lewis of the New York Post went on to say, Stauskas got shell-shocked in Sacramento by Cousins. his confidence was shot. He had a bad experience there and lost confidence. Cousins is a bad teammate and it affected him poorly. He comes to Philly and shown flashes, but never consistently good enough. In college, he was creating his own shot against the best defenders in the Big Ten, but in the NBA, he just looked lost. Lasted 35 games with the Nets, signed with Portland as part of the Rodney Hood package, traded mid-season to Cleveland, and then to Houston, and then again on the same day to the Pacers, waived the very next day, and then ended up in Cleveland again 3 days later. Basically, Stauskas was getting shipped around the country 3 times in 3 days, only to get waived. An absolute brutal feeling. Lasted 24 games with the Cavs, provided no impact, made over $14 million for his NBA career. Now in Europe, his NBA future remains uncertain. The following pick, Noah Vonleh, selected 9th overall by Charlotte, had great size, a very good athlete with an insane 7'4" wingspan, bigger hands than Kawhi Leonard. Despite being just 19 years old, Vonleh had all the tools physically, drew comparisons to Jamal Mashburn and even Chris Bosh to some extent. Going to an awful franchise who's had many busts, Vonleh lasted 25 games as a rookie, slowed down by injuries and bouncing around the G League, averaged just 3.3 points. It was enough to determine he wouldn't be with the Hornets long term. Trading him to Portland alongside Gerald Henderson for Nicholas Batum, the 6'10" power forward continued to struggle on all cylinders, couldn't make an impact on the Blazers. After 3.5 seasons, averaged 3.9 points, 4.6 rebounds, unplayable at times, traded to the Bulls, then signed with the Knicks, where he's shown flashes of upside as a low-risk, high-reward guy, averaged 8.4 points, 7.8 rebounds as the starting power forward on a 17-win team, which eventually saved his career, but those numbers appear to be as good as he's ever gonna get. Signed a minimum contract with Minnesota after, became his normal self again as a 4-point-a-game scorer, traded to the Nuggets before the 2020 deadline. Being on 6 teams in 6 seasons doesn't seem like a recipe for success long-term, and likely on his way out the NBA after this season. Adrian Payne out of Michigan State, selected 15th overall, the 6'10" power forward lasted just 4 seasons in the NBA, who's supposed to pan out as a solid role player, but averaged just 4 points, 2.9 rebounds in 107 total games, played for the Wolves, Magic, and Hawks, had many injuries, was out the league by January 2018 after his name resurfaced in the Michigan State scandal regarding an alleged sexual assault. Payne went on to play overseas in China, Greece, and now in France. James Young, selected 17th overall by the Boston Celtics. Bill Simmons loved it at first.
The Boston Celtics select James Young from the University of Kentucky.
But not anymore. After a season at the University of Kentucky, he was essentially a hit-or-miss prospect, a super athletic lefty with a streaky jumper, selected ahead of Rodney Hood and Gary Harris. The 6'2" guard spent more time in the G League, averaged just 2.3 points for his NBA career, 1 rebound in only 95 total games, never panned out. After 4 seasons, made just $5.2 million for his NBA career before taking his talents overseas in Israel. Tyler Ennis, picked right ahead of Young 18th overall, was projected to be a 4-year college player. After a successful freshman year under Jim Boeheim of Syracuse, drew many comparisons to Drew Holiday and George Hill, viewed as a clever floor general who makes great decisions. Despite lacking speed and athleticism, the 6'3" point guard was picked by the Phoenix Suns, but immediately couldn't crack the rotation. Traded to the Bucks at the deadline, Ennis never made an impact with Milwaukee, Houston, and LA. Last played in the 2017-18 season, backing up Lonzo Ball, made $6.5 million for his career. Now with the Raptors 905 G League team, Mitch McGary, a waste of a pick by the OKC Thunder, selected 21st. The 6'10" power forward shouldn't be regarded as a bust, being drafted in the 20s, but his NBA career ended so poorly, lasted only 2 seasons, 52 games combined, 4.4 points, made $4.4 million, faced 2 suspensions in 2016 for violating the league's drug policy, was even suspended for a year in college for failing a single marijuana test, then concluded he turned pro, which actually worked out for him, but will go down as one of the worst draft selections of Sam Presti. After playing his last game in 2016, he became a competitive bowler and very good at it too. His basketball career remains a mystery at this point. Honorable mention goes to Alfred Payton, selected 10th overall, a point guard who bounced around for 4 different teams, a full-time starter, getting 25 to 30 minutes a game, still not a good shooter on the struggling Knicks, getting paid $8 million this season, another $8 the next. The 26-year-old doesn't seem like he'll be a good NBA great player, but an average guy who'll stick around for now. With Embiid and Jokic the only players from the 2014 class to make an all-star team 6 years later, other players like Andrew Wiggins, Jabari Parker, Julius Randle, and Aaron Gordon hasn't lived up to their potential, while Zach LaVine's looking like the most likely future all-star from this class. Thank you so much for watching this video. More great stuff coming soon. See you next time.